Web3 TV.
Hello and welcome to Web3 TV. I'm Lisa Amnegard, and today we're at the Dubai FinTech Summit 2025. Joining me right now is Justin Baldacchino, Managing Director of Supervision at the DFSA. So thank you so much for joining me today.
No problem at all. Great to be here.
And how's your day been so far?
It's been great. It's been super busy, as you can see. Lots of interest and so many people coming here from around the world. We're seeing, I think, about 9,000 attendees coming through over the next 2 days. So it's fantastic to see.
Yeah, it's just grown so much. Now we're in the third edition.
Correct.
But I want to just first ask, just so our viewers know, what does the DFSA do and what's happening there right now?
The DFSA is quite a unique regulator on the basis that we actually regulate the DIFC for any financial services that takes place within the DIFC. And the DIFC is a dedicated 110 acres and it's its own common law jurisdiction. So it has its own court system, which is separate to the mainland of Dubai. And in the last few years, ever since probably outside of COVID, we've seen massive growth in regards to the new firms coming into the centre, but also the existing firms actually deepening their footprint within the DIFC. And at the moment, we're close to regulating about 1,000 firms from an authorization and registered perspective. And it's just great to see how much growth and how much interest there is within Dubai at the moment. Yeah,
definitely. And Dubai has a vision to become one of the top global hubs for finance by 2033. So what kind of role do you see the DFSA playing in that?
Yeah. Well, I think we're playing a huge role in relation to making sure that we've got the right regulations and the right regime, so then firms are actually attracted to setting up their businesses basically within Dubai. So what we're trying to do, and I think we're doing a good job at it at the moment, is to work as closely as we can with the industry to see what is it that they feel is the right regulation, the right regime, but also putting an overlay on that to make sure that from our perspective, investors are protected. That's our number one priority, and make sure that the growth itself is sustainable as well. So making sure that firms have the right governance, the right controls, and us working with the firms to make sure that we can sustain that growth as well.
No, definitely. And I know that there's been several announcements from the DFSA, and one just last week where you updated the new guidelines for the innovation testing license.
Yes, correct.
So what kind of message do you have for fintechs looking to scale?
Looking to do it, yeah. So I think the innovation testing license, it's something that I think DFSA was at the forefront even several years ago, because we knew that was going to be a growth phase, not only for the DFSA, but also from a Dubai and UAE perspective. So the innovation testing license has been around since 2017, and we're seeing massive interest in relation to having a innovation testing license. And just for the viewers out there, just to explain that innovation testing license, it's actually a license, and it's a license that is actually restricted. So what I mean by that is there's a lot of innovation testing sandboxes that regulators offer globally, but this one is different because you can actually have interactions with clients, but it's on a restricted basis. And why is it on a restricted basis? It's because it's protecting the clients themselves, but also making sure that they're able to set up and grow at a steady pace. And then what we do, once we see that they have the ability to actually grow at that steady pace and making sure that we want them to grow bigger and bigger, we take off the restrictions. So the great thing about it is it's a good way for firms globally to come to Dubai, set up, look at whether their business works. And once they see it starts to work, then we act as a conduit to make sure that we could sustain that growth together.
And it's also a great way to attract innovation.
It's an excellent way, because what it is, the testing ability means that you work very closely with ourselves as a regulator, and then we sort of feed off each other. And what I mean by that, if you take into account our crypto regime was released in 2022. And so since then, unlike other regimes that we've put into play, we've had to update that regime to keep up with the industry. And the industry is moving at such a rapid pace that we're getting feedback from the industry saying, look, you need to update this because it has to be fit for purpose. And we're listening. And I think that's what Dubai, and that's what definitely the DFSA does very well.
No, definitely. And which is really, really important when you want to sort of innovate and drive this industry forward. But one of the sandboxes that you recently launched was the regulatory sandbox for tokenization, right? And so I just want to know, I know the application pool is closed now, but
Yes.
I wanted to know a little bit, what kind of interest did you receive and what kind of companies are you looking to attract?
Yeah. So what we're looking to attract is quite a diverse set of companies. So we want to look at what is it that the industry is doing and how do they want to do it as well. So when we actually put together the tokenization sandbox or the expression of interest, we were expecting a few firms to actually show their interest, but we were amazed on how much interest there was. So at the moment, we closed the sandbox and we're up to close to about 100 expressions of interest. Now, these are expression of interest around tokenizing real world assets, just like real estate, and then looking at tokenization shares, looking at tokenization of what they want to do from bonds and also funds. So there's a huge array of the ability to what they want to tokenize, and it's coming from a whole set of different firms. And so the good thing for us, these are global firms looking at actually what they can do here within Dubai. So for us, that's fantastic.
No, definitely. And I think just in 2025, the trend, the talk is
Yes.
around tokenization. So from the DFSA's perspective, what kind of role do you see tokenization playing in the future of global finance?
I think we see it playing a big role. So I think a few years back, it started off sort of step by step, but now we're seeing a huge acceleration in regards to what is it that can be tokenized. And if you think about it and you stand back, anything that we deal with on a day-to-day perspective can be tokenized. And it means that you sort of decentralize the system and you give the ability for investors to actually do a lot more and invest more in things that previously they were sort of held back from. So for us, it gives a new opportunity basically for the investor pool.
Yeah, and we've seen now the Dubai Land Department, they announced a pilot phase for tokenization of real estate.
Correct.
And now with the DFSA, they have a regulatory sandbox for tokenization.
Yeah.
So when do you think all of this will be implemented?
I think, look, it's testament to the fact, if you look at even the event we're in today, I think the positive for me is things move fast in Dubai, but you have the backing of senior leadership as well, and so there's a lot of focus on this. If you think about it, also we have a minister of AI, which you don't see in many parts of the world. So I think Dubai and the UAE is at the forefront of what is capable, but I think it is going to move quickly, and we want to be able to move as quickly as the industry.
Definitely. And there's one thing that the DFSA has said, you have said, is about responsible innovation. But how does that look like in an industry, especially with fintech, that is evolving so fast? Yeah,
and when people think about responsible, they always think about us adding more regulation. But from our perspective, what we want to do is, at the case of AI, I think that's a great example. If you look at regulators around the world, everyone has taken a different viewpoint on what that looks like. Some regulators want to layer a huge amount of regulation, and that sort of impedes on the innovation component. What we want to do is the opposite. We want to say, okay, tell us what you want to use AI for. How do you want to use it? What is the governance control? But we don't want to issue a full regime just on AI. And it's similar to, if we think about the fact that we regulate some of the biggest banks in the world, we don't go to those banks and say we want to regulate the software they use, and so it's consistent with that. But at the same time, we want to protect investors. And how do we do that? We do that on the basis of making sure that we interact with the firms themselves. We understand what risks they may be bringing to the investor. And we put in regulation, as we would, because we're a risk-based regulator, around the approach they take around their risk and control environment. And that's no different to anything that they do, whether they're issuing a bond or they're interacting and issuing funds and anything else. We want to make sure that what they're offering is transparent, it's consistent, and that the investor knows what they're getting themselves into. But at the same time, we don't want to be layering regulation over regulation. Actually, we've got projects in place where we want to reduce regulatory burden. So it means that we can foster innovation going forward, but at the same time, making sure that we're in touch with the industry to make sure that that risk and control environment is intact.
Definitely. Yeah. So it's kind of a balance, but still kind of favoring innovation.
Correct.
Right?
Definitely.
And also when we think about AI, I know that the DFSA recently announced that they were going to be holding a discussion around AI and cybersecurity.
Yes.
So
correct.
I'm just curious, what kind of conversations are you looking to
So
have?
what we're trying to do is actually get all the regulators from around the world and bring them to Dubai and tell them what the DFSA is doing firstly, but also listening to actually what is it that they're doing in their jurisdictions. And the reason why we do that is to understand who's doing best in class and what components of their approach can we take but make it fit for purpose for Dubai and the UAE. So we're taking components from around the world, looking at what is best for the industry, making sure that we can think about our regime, think about it thoughtfully, and then as we start to move forward, how do we supervise these firms? How do we ensure we attract more firms into Dubai, making sure we've got the right regime in place, but also reacting to the industry as well? As you said, the industry is moving so fast. So how fast can we move with that industry? Now, the cyber and AI regulatory college that we're hosting, we think it's probably the first of its kind in the GCC. And then more broadly, the more we're interacting with regulators globally, they're saying this is a fantastic idea and they haven't seen it in their jurisdiction. So we want to sort of do this on an ongoing basis because the industry is moving at such a rapid pace. This will be the first of its kind. And at the moment, we've got about 18 regulatory authorities flying in. We've got about 50 people in attendance. And we're just going to be talking about AI and cyber over the next 2 days and thinking, what is it that we're doing well? What is it that they're doing well? And what is it that we can contemplate the potential risks and how can we mitigate for those risks? So for us, it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, definitely, because that's the one thing, AI has made our lives so much easier, but it's also made hackers' lives easier.
Correct.
So
Correct.
How do you, as the GFSA, how do you approach something like that? Like, what are the thoughts that are ongoing?
One thing we do have, we have a threat intelligence platform. And again, we're one of the first in the regions to have a threat intelligence platform. And it's basically a data gathering of all potential threats that our firms have encountered. So if there's a particular firm that has been hacked, like you said, they can actually put it on our platform and warn the other firms that this potentially could happen to you. And this is how it happened to us. So we have a consolidation of this information and it's a free service. So everyone can actually log in and get the intelligence required to mitigate any cyber threats in future. And again, we can do more and more of this. And it's fantastic because we start to see that grow over time.
It's kind of like a Twitter, but for cybersecurity.
It is, and it's for the regulated community because the regulated community, I think, does its best work when it works together.
Yeah.
If you're working in silos, this is not going to work.
Well, definitely, it's going to be a very interesting conversation, and I want to say thank you so much for speaking with me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
And I'll be bringing you more interviews. My name is Lisa Amnegard, and you're watching Web3 TV.
Thank you.